One, now recording. It's gonna be short, simple, about 30 minutes. This is basically an outlook of S&P 500 futures monthly, and using our fib extensions and simple trend lines, followed by 14 and 30 SMA. We can see where we topped. We can see past levels. Or we can see strong supported areas. And for this, we see the double top, which is basically stated here to the left. And then it broke out, which was 1544.75. Extended all the way to 24.23. Just kept going. Rejected 29.67.18 on the monthly. Came down back to 24.23, where it basically also broke out at. Retested that breakout area. Possible retest maybe once more, but we're not too sure, depending on how long we stay above 26.87. 26.87 is our 30 SMA on the monthly, so keep that in mind as well. Pretty interesting on how everything is working right now. Futures basically bounced 20 points from the lows. Well, 23 points from the lows. Going into this week, this is the end of the month. This candle basically is the telltale. We'll possibly get better direction Wednesday, a good idea of where they want to close us. Going into tomorrow, I'd probably look to open anywhere the gap needs to be filled at. So targeting whatever the gap is, and we're going to actually get to that right now. So let me actually clear this all up. So I look at my weekly charts because you got to go into the following week. Call me crazy, but we still have a chance and have an opportunity to create an inverted head and shoulders on a monthly chart. Why? Because the neckline is 29.67. So that's basically a big rejection area. We have our head basically following down to our December to 2018 lows. We have our left shoulder basically December 2018, which is, I would say, the opening low of the year. And then our next shoulder will be around 26.87 or wherever the price comes. So I want us to basically come down one more time for the 30 SMA on the monthly, retest that, because we're actually looking at a monthly box down. Yeah, this is going to be the second monthly box down at that. As you guys know what a box is, basically an engulfing candle followed by a small body candle, spinning top, can be a mini hammer, followed by a engulfing candle as well. So I'll box that for you guys right now. I'll give you guys an example, an idea. So you have, this is basically a box here. It's a box down on a monthly, continue down again. And then you have here a box down on a monthly so far, which would possibly continue down somewhere, depending on how it closes up, say somewhere like this. I could be wrong, doesn't mean, but I use 3 candles. So we got September, October, and November. By November, we'll see where we are if we're going to continue to ride the 30 SMA. What will make me bearish also, like to start really taking a long-term bearish position, is when the monthly actually closes below the 30 SMA, the monthly price. So any monthly candle below the 30 SMA is bearish. Now let's look at the weekly chart, because we did a gap down on the weekly. And the weeklies, we had this happen before, a couple of weeks back. We got, actually last week we got down and then we filled the gap. Gapping down outside of the 30 or the 14 is actually bullish. Gapping above outside of the 30 or 14 is bearish, because price always retracts or comes back. So here we have somewhat of a gap down to hammer. My thoughts is we test 28.78. So upon open, I would take probably what did that be, around 287 calls going into Wednesday, or you can say going into Friday. That's the safest bet. To be honest with you, you'll probably get like a 50% move, depending on how big the move is before it actually retracts, or it will test and possibly come back. So I'm not too sure, but this can be definitely a nice falling wedge. So keep that in mind as well. Don't overlook things. Just, again, follow the price. But this gap down is actually great. They can actually close this gap while we sleep, which is possibly what they're doing now. What's going to happen here? We're looking at possibly a daily box. Very bullish to me. So here, let me get the arrows because I definitely have to hover this. So we have actually it's best to go over it. So the week of 8/5, this was 8/5, August 5th. That day, next day, I think it opened up down inside and created a hammer. Similar, we have the same similar bar, another red bar. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then red down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, red down. It is crazy. I mean, I trade based off patterns and ranges, but you can call this something crazy, but it's just things you got to look at. So inside these red candles is 6 candles. Let's do this. Here this rejected the 30 SMA. I mean the 14 SMA. Here rejected the 30 SMA. But closed above the 14 SMA. Each box represents 6 candles, 6 daily candles inside of these red candles here, which is very interesting. So if this was to play out somewhat similar, I mean, we are trading below the 14 and 30 SMA, so we need another vacuum to happen. Possibly might happen by Thursday. But keep that in mind. So if I was to basically do another box, like this is like a box prediction of using the amount of candles, 6 candles, not 6 points, sorry. So I'm not saying this is going to be the range, but if this was considered the low for the week, right, and we're using the highest point, 29.67, this would be basically considered 6 candles. So let's make sure it lines up right. So this is 6 candles with that range in play here. So it would be something like this before it comes down. This is your daily chart. So you guys I like to use my arrows. So we use the green. This is just an idea. I'm not saying this is actually going to happen, but this is the idea you get based off what could possibly happen with this move. A vacuum happens, price just consolidates by 9:30. We're somewhere back above 2,900. Anything is possible. I want you guys to put things in perspective, have your levels in play. Oops, let's clear that. Perfect. It's definitely going to be interesting. So basically going into this week, I'm focusing on 2 plays, NetEase and BA. But I'm actually focusing on other plays as well. But my main focus is NetEase and BA. Why? NetEase was not reacting at all to market Friday. It was very interesting. The 250 lottos would have been good. They didn't pay at all. They didn't even hit 250, but I mean, it was basically between 244 and 247. The setup on NetEase is amazing. As you can see here, this is our H4 4-hour chart. These are our levels, so keep your levels in play. Up and down. Trend is still there from when we started playing this with earnings. Well, we actually played it way before earnings, but we were well ahead of the earnings for this play. The trend is still there, due with China and everything like that. I mean, you can write this off as a bear flag. You can write it off as whatever, but I'm just following the price in this trend line in this channel. Basically, he's done this before. Bounce off this bottom and it just starts. Everything becomes just price action becomes more concentrated here. For example, show you what I see. So we bounced, got over purple line, retested it like 3 times before breaking out again. This is how long that took, right? So I'm not even gonna duplicate it. I'm just gonna move it over here. We're gonna see some resistance around 270. So closing into the year, 300 calls, 320 calls for like March would be the smartest thing to do, more safer. 1430 SMA is crossing on the daily. This is definitely extremely bullish. So this is actually earlier. See, I can't even write this off to mimic. Hold on. Because I want to show you. If I try to mimic this, I'm going to use color. Let's use this color. So we have a 14 SMA, 30 SMA cross here. We have a, see, we don't have a 1430 SMA cross on this side. 1430 SMA cross actually happened here. So this is what makes it interesting. See, this moved up, it crossed here. So we're either, all right, so we're not, honestly, we're not playing this first box here. We're possibly playing this here. This is exactly what we're playing right now. So we might get a retest of the low of this lower trend line. So I'm actually gonna remove all of this. So I'm thinking this is what's currently happening, right? And then from there, it came up to the top, outside of the blue line, came back, retested, and came down here. And then it bounced. And this is from that low there. So if I move that over, bring it over here, this is what we'll see. It's gonna be a lot of congestion, a lot of ups and downs. So it's gonna be like in and out, basically buying time, buying like a long-term position, but also shorting it on weekly. So it's gonna be very interesting to play NetEase. But I like this. I like how it's following its trend line here. Let me actually edit this because the colors are all too similar. There we go. Save as default. Perfect. Good. This is a clean channel. This is why the reason price would basically come back down is only because of this gap here. But that all can change too as well. So keep this in mind. I like this setup, somewhat of inverted head and shoulders also, but slanted. Playing the 250 calls going into next week. Also looking at 240 puts about 2 weeks out, just in case. But if this holds perfectly, we can possibly see a retest of 270. Looking at least at October. That's possibly a 23-point move from there, from current levels, if it can just hover above the 14 and 30 SMA, which it actually does in this kind of setup. It actually does good. Possible start breaking back out. It needs to close above 249.13. That close just below it still makes me bullish. Oh wow, look what I see here. It's just the little things you can find when you're charting. Check this out. similar, off of somewhat of a flag. This is above the 14 and 30 here. Keep that in mind. It's for netties. I don't like to really point out strikes, but pointing out the levels gives you an idea to go long or go short, because I don't want to give you strikes and say, oh, we're opening 250 calls right after open. Yeah, we take 250 calls and they go straight against us, especially just wait, let price confirm, take a starter with time. I'm not liking this daily on BA, but also price can definitely still open inside of it and basically retrace back up to Friday's high. It's very possible. I've seen that happen before. But they can definitely see a gap down. I like the supportive 14 SMA here that we had. This would made us bullish. This is how we made our money here. BA does very well when 14 and 30 SMA cross, especially when price is trading below it. It always finds its way back above it. Confirms 14, confirms 14. See, rejects 14 and 30. Confirms 14, confirms 14. The payoff bounces off of it. Then fades below. This is where that news happened, gaps down. Just watch the patterns. I want to see us bounce off at 348, create the right shoulder, and then possibly head back to 370, and then break that 377.52. So BA, you have your levels going into tomorrow, 366 above, 348 below. So our 14 SMA is going to find support around 348.25, which will of course run a 30 SMA. Let's keep this in mind, this setup. So these are the two plays that we're looking at going into this week. There's a lot of other plays I'm looking at as well. A lot of weeklies are looking ugly. Always keep knocking. I always keep knock in close view because of its ranges. It was actually best to be a short last week than a long. I made that mistake. Got fooled out by that double bottom. Let me clean this chart up. So what we can do, and possibly what I'm looking at a open short to 355 puts for knock to open tomorrow, targeting 30 SMA or 348.55 in between there. You get these predictive ranges out the way now. Just because we didn't start the short last week doesn't mean that we can get into the short still, or that we are late for the short, depending on how it opens. If it opens anywhere down 351 and gaps down, I am 100% long 360 calls for the week. The range for knock is 377.96 and 348.55. Previous breakout levels are always back test levels. So that 348.55, very interesting level. That 30 SMA here. So when it gets here, indicating 380 long for end of September. So that will be the starter position for that going forward. So keep that one in mind as well. This one's not coming off. This is not coming off my watch list one bit. It hit its all-time high, retraced. See it doing it again. Purple line lines up with our 30 SMA here. I want to see a nice bounce effect. So still in consolidation level. So would be a close this week above 361. So a gap down, and then a close above 361 takes us back to all-time highs, which next week we won't hit all-time highs. Maybe the week after next all-time highs. So we can possibly buy all-time highs as 2 weeks out. So 380 calls, 2 weeks out, anywhere near the 30 SMA on the daily chart. Look at the weeklies as well. So weekly visual, possible flag. They're building next to all-time high. That's always a good sign. Which is interesting is this weekly didn't push the weekly didn't push down hard. I would have honestly liked them to push it down to 348.55, but nope, didn't happen. Possibly this week, it's gonna be telling. If we break below last week's low and the week before last week's low, and we close below that, then we're definitely coming down for the weekly 14 SMA for a bounce. Technically, the 14 SMA has been a strong supportive trend line without even making a trend line here. I mess with my trend lines just to see what price goes. Not too bad. Have an idea of how it works. So that's knock. I mean, I have a list of everything that we traded, that we're watching. It's just time will tell. LOY had some news over overnight after the bell, so keep that one in mind as well. So this is so remember I told you guys about previous breakout levels, previous breakout points. They become a support level. So 348.55 was a breakout, but there's so much rejection here. And this rejection level is basically where the price is currently trading at right now. So I'm looking for a back test here. I want this 14 SMA to come above and become supportive around 348.55. Puts us back to possible, give us a handle look form and then break out to 400. That's around the time where I think they bought the December 400 calls. They'll lose some premium, but they're still going to make some money. I mean, going into this week, that's it for now. I just wanted to. I don't want to clog your guys' judgments. I don't want to add so many tickers. People are like, "Oh, why is not that much tickers?" You guys can trade 50 million tickers in your account if you want. That's on you. I mean, I'd rather be profitable and not trading a million tickers just to try to make money, and try to stay in the game when I can just be playing 3 tickers and just focusing on direction.